Captain's Log, Subdate 200819.7. Today we received a message from the Star Destroyer Fluffykins. Apparently, Sith wants to negotiate a treaty with a race called the Gungans. Misa thinking they's screw. Welcome everyone to the halls of InJustice. Today we have a former politician and army major. Someone who has considerable amount of privilege, I guess you could say. The name is Eric Joyce. Eric Joyce served in the army for 21 years and left at the rank of major. Not long after leaving, he managed to secure a spot as a Labour candidate for Falkirk, going on to win his seat in 2000. He would go on to serve the party faithfully, voting almost exactly how Labour MPs typically vote, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the trend one notices. Same thing could be said about Conservatives, with there being a few minor contradictions when it came to in favour of immigration and stricter asylum laws, which seems a bit odd on the face of it. In 2010, he served for a few months as the Shadow Northern Ireland Secretary, which didn't last long for reasons we're going to get into in a moment. Eric Joyce has a history, quite an interesting one in fact. In 2010, he was arrested for failing to provide a breath test following a motoring incident in Falkirk. In court the following day, he pled guilty, and he was banned from driving for a year. Because of this incident, he resigned from his position as Shadow Northern Ireland Minister, and then went on to apologise. On the 22nd of February 2012, Eric Joyce was arrested by the Metropolitan Police at the Palace of Westminster on suspicion of committing assault. At the time, he was reported to have attacked as many as 6 politicians. He headbutted and punched, allegedly, Conservative MP Stuart Andrew after striking Labour assistant Whip Phil Wilson after Phil Wilson attempted to restrain him. He also headbutted a Conservative councillor Ben Manny, punched Basildon Conservative councillor Luke Mackenzie, both of whom also tried to break this up. 2 more Conservative MPs, Alex Shelbrooke and Jackie Doyle-Price, were also caught up while attempting to intervene and calm Eric Joyce down. The following day, he was suspended from the Labour Party and charged with 3 counts of common assault and released on bail. A 4th charge was added a few days later. He was fined £3,000 and ordered to pay $1,400 in compensation to his victims but not given custodial sentence. On the 12th of March, he formally apologised to the victims, which is what led to him resigning from the Labour Party, with him intending to complete his current term as an MP but not seek re-election. In August of that same year, Eric Joyce was back in court after he had used scissors on the 4th of July to remove the electronic tag that had been fitted to his leg as part of a community order. He was then fined £600. 1 year later, in 2013, March 14th, Eric Joyce was arrested again. After a disturbance at a karaoke event, he was seen outside the bar, wrestling with 2 police officers, and reportedly had one of the officers in a headlock. As it was his second alcohol-related incident in the House of Commons premises, he was given an indefinite ban by the Office of the Speaker from purchasing or being served alcohol from all Palace of Westminster premises. Eric Joyce was released under police bail from the police station in London the following day, and he was, at the time, facing a charge of actual bodily harm, but not prosecuted. That parliamentary privilege though, right? Don't worry, there's more. On May 2013, Eric Joyce was arrested again at the Edinburgh airport after police were called to an altercation between him and airline staff regarding a mislaid mobile phone. He then went on to have a struggle with the police officers before being restrained on the ground and handcuffed. He pled guilty to the charge of breach of the peace at an Edinburgh Sheriff Court and was fined £1,500 with £150 compensation. On October 2014, Eric Joyce was arrested after clashing with a teenager at a store in Camden. He was charged with 2 counts of common assault and 1 count of criminal damage. He pled not guilty and was given conditional bail to appear for trial. On May 2015, he was found guilty on 2 counts of common assault in an appearance at Westminster Magistrates Court. He was sentenced to a 10-week jail term suspended for 2 years and ordered to pay £1,080 and to attend a rehab course which aims to reduce violent behaviour. Notice how this all happened before he resigned as an MP. After he resigned, everything went very quiet. I will accept He obviously had a problem. It is actually recognised in the more recent crime. However, oh dear Lord, this one is a tad spicy. In fact, I'd argue it's beyond spicy, in the realm of millions of Scovilles spicy. On the 6th of November 2018, Eric Joyce was arrested again, but this time not for an assault, even though in the past that could be argued to be his bread and butter, but instead for creating a Category A film with a child alleged to be 12 months old. He's not in the film, by the way. There is a conflicting report on this. Some articles stated image, others stated film. I'm going to say either or, it's still a Category A. And I'm going to tell you what Category A is. We have spoken about this before, but I'm going to tell you again. The categories are a way of determining in a court system the level of severity when it comes to indecent images concerning children or other various grotesqueness that is banned under UK law. Category A is deemed the most severe. The repercussions for indecent image offences within this category are typically the heaviest of all related offences. Images classed in this category depict gross assault, sadism or bestiality, obscene images involving penetrative sexual activity. This also extends to all images that depict a child subjected to pain. Sounds like a custodial term, doesn't it, everyone? Well, we'll get to that soon, I promise. No spoilers. Don't you worry. Upon his arrest, he confessed that he did in fact have this particular film or image and was immediately made to sign the register. He was also given unconditional bail. When sentencing, Mr. Judge Edis said, "You have pleaded guilty to an offence which involves the possession of a Category A film of a little less than a minute's duration. That film showed the penetrative sexual abuse of very young children. That these acts of abuse happened is because there are people like you who want to watch these films. If there was no market, those children wouldn't be subjected to these very serious offences. You have sought help from people well able to provide it, and there's evidence before the court that there has had an effect on helping you reduce perhaps completely your impulsive behaviour, and that's happened over a significant period due to the delay in these proceedings. At an earlier court hearing back in July, Judge Emma Peters had warned Eric Joyce that the offences crossed the custody threshold, with her saying some are quite young, one is said to be 12 months old, clearly a Category A movie, explaining also that he accesses it via an email which he says was a spam email. At the time he was drinking heavily and now has undergone work with the Lucy Faithful Foundation and a psychotherapist. So I guess now we should talk about the sentence. He was found guilty, by the way, so naturally there's a sentence. This was handed down by Justice Edis, by the way. Major Eric Joyce, former member of the Labour Party for Falkirk, for 15 years. Sentenced to 8 months in prison, suspended for 2 years, granted a sexual harm prevention order until the court says stop, so indefinite, 18-day rehabilitation activity, 150 hours of community service, and prosecution costs of £1,800. Right. I would like Judge or Justice Edis to have their badge removed. Judge Emma Peters was right, custodial was the only way forward. Granted, he was seeking help. Good for him. Prison is where you belong. Justice Edis can be in your cell with you. The sentence is an absolute joke, an embarrassment in fact. But that is always the case with these, isn't it? Don't worry, I have the next two planned and at least one of them is moderately accurate. The other one is also InJustice. Many have argued, and I mentioned it earlier, parliamentary privilege. This is one of those times where it crops up because people think MPs, old and new, former or current, retain this kind of privilege. I just went through a list of his crimes, and he essentially got away with all of them, minus the odd cost here or there. This sentence is a joke, and you, Mr. Joyce, should be ashamed of yourself, as should Justice Edis. With this, I'd love to know what you think, so please do let me know in the comments down below. Tomorrow is an exhibition of Stupid People Day. There's a new thumbnail for that, template-wise, so do keep your eyes open for it. I hope you'll have a fantastic Wednesday. Thank you all for listening.